Have you ever stopped to wonder if every moment in your life, every joy, every heartbreak, every unexpected turn was leading you somewhere important? What if nothing was ever random? What if behind every experience, no matter how painful or confusing, there was a deeper reason waiting to be understood? According to ancient Buddhist wisdom, life is not a series of coincidences. It's a delicate, intricate web of causes and conditions where everything happens for a reason, even when we can't yet see it. In a world that teaches us to control, predict, and secure our future, it's easy to feel lost when life shifts in ways we never planned. But what if real peace doesn't come from fighting change, but from understanding it? Stay with me, because the moment you begin to see the hidden purpose behind everything you've lived through, your entire experience of life will transform, and with it, your suffering will begin to fall away. But to truly understand why things happen, we first need to face one of life's hardest truths, a truth that touches everything we experience. Nothing lasts forever. It's tempting to believe that good moments will last forever, that happiness, love, health, success are permanent states once achieved. But life shows us a different truth. Relationships change, bodies age, careers shift, emotions rise and fall like tides. Everything around us and within us is in constant motion. Impermanence is not a flaw in life, it is life itself. The seasons remind us nothing blooms all year long, and yet nothing stays barren forever either. Trying to hold on to anything as if it were eternal only sets us up for suffering when, inevitably, it changes. Real freedom comes from seeing that nothing we cling to can stay the same, and learning to love it anyway. Look closely at nature, and you will see the deepest truths about existence. A river flows without clinging to its own waters. A tree releases its leaves in autumn without resistance, trusting that new growth will come in spring. No flower mourns its own withering, and no sunrise fights against sunset. If nature, in all its wisdom, embraces change without fear, what makes us believe we should be any different? When we align ourselves with the rhythm of life rather than against it, we discover a grace and resilience that no circumstance can take away. The pain of life does not come from change itself, but from our resistance to it. We suffer when we try to hold on to moments that are meant to pass, or when we fight against the new stages we are meant to grow into. Acceptance is not passive surrender. It is the active choice to meet reality as it is, without clinging, without fear. It is the realization that life, in its constant transformation, is not against us but for us, leading us toward deeper strength, deeper wisdom, and deeper peace. When we stop resisting impermanence, we are finally free to live fully, here and now. And if change is the fabric of life, then there's another force quietly weaving the patterns we live through: karma, the law of cause and effect that shapes our journey in ways we rarely notice at first. Nothing in life happens without cause. Every action we take, every word we speak, every thought we cultivate sets something in motion. Karma is not punishment, nor is it a reward handed down by some distant force. It is simply the natural law of cause and effect, as real and as inevitable as gravity. When we act with kindness, when we think with compassion, when we move with honesty, we plant seeds that will one day bloom into peace. When we act out of anger, fear, or selfishness, we plant seeds of suffering. Often, we don't see the results immediately, and so it's easy to believe that our actions have no consequence. But karma is always at work, weaving the unseen fabric of our lives, shaping tomorrow through the choices we make today. Imagine standing at the edge of a still lake and dropping a single pebble into the water. The ripples move outward, touching everything on the surface, long after the stone has disappeared beneath. In the same way, every small action we take, every harsh word, every gesture of forgiveness, every secret resentment, every moment of gratitude, sends ripples into the world around us. Most of us underestimate the power we have in ordinary moments. A kind word to a stranger might change the course of their day. A cruel glance might deepen someone's hidden wounds. No action is too small to matter. Every moment is a chance to send a different kind of ripple, one that brings healing instead of harm. It is easy to point fingers when life goes wrong. We blame circumstances, other people, luck, even fate. But Buddhism teaches that real power comes when we turn inward and ask, what have I contributed to this moment? What seeds have I planted? This is not about self-blame or guilt. It is about reclaiming our agency. When we understand karma, we stop seeing ourselves as victims of an unfair world and start seeing ourselves as participants in a living, breathing universe of cause and effect. Every thought, every choice, every moment matters. And with that realization, life becomes less about waiting for change to happen and more about becoming the change ourselves. As we look closer, we realize it's not just the flow of events that causes our suffering. It's what we cling to along the way. It's the attachments we form, believing they will make us whole. From an early age, we are taught to believe that happiness lies in acquiring things, relationships, achievements, possessions, status. We cling to the idea that once we reach a certain milestone, once we hold on to something tightly enough, we will finally be safe, finally be complete. But life inevitably moves. People change, jobs end, health fluctuates, and dreams evolve. When we attach our happiness to something that is by nature impermanent, we set ourselves up for heartbreak. Attachment is not love. Attachment is fear dressed as love. The fear of losing, the fear of change, the fear of being left with nothing. True happiness comes not from holding tightly, but from learning to hold everything with open hands. To love without attachment is to allow what we cherish the freedom to exist as it is, not as we wish it to be. It is to celebrate the beauty of the moment without demanding that it last forever. Love that is pure does not grip, control, or demand. It blesses, nurtures, and lets be. This kind of love is not weak. It is profoundly strong because it does not depend on certainty or permanence. It trusts life enough to know that even if things change, even if endings come, the love itself was real, and that is enough. Learning to love in this way frees both ourselves and those we love from the invisible cages we sometimes build around them. Freedom in letting go. Letting go is often misunderstood. It does not mean giving up, becoming indifferent, or caring less. True letting go is caring deeply while releasing the need to control the outcome. It is holding life lightly, with the understanding that everything we experience is on loan to us for a time. Joy, sorrow, success, failure, they all pass through our hands like water. When we stop clutching at life, we find we can finally experience it fully. Letting go is an act of courage. It is a way of saying, I trust life. I trust myself. I trust that whatever comes next, I have the strength to meet it. And when life doesn't go the way we hoped, when the things we hold dearest slip through our fingers, the greatest gift we can give ourselves is acceptance, the art of making peace with what is. Most of us are taught to resist anything that doesn't match our plans or desires. We are conditioned to fight against loss, to deny aging, to resent disappointment. Yet the more we resist what life naturally brings, the more we suffer. Reality does not bend to our wishes, no matter how hard we push. The river of life keeps flowing, indifferent to our struggles. True peace is not found by trying to force life into a fixed shape, but by learning to move with its currents. Resistance drains our energy. Acceptance renews it. When we stop fighting the inevitable, we find that even the hardest moments carry a hidden softness, a doorway into deeper strength. There is a story of a farmer whose horse ran away. The neighbors, feeling sorry for him, said, "Such bad luck." The farmer replied, "Who knows if it's good or bad?" Later, the horse returned, bringing several wild horses with it. The neighbors exclaimed, "How wonderful!" Again, the farmer simply said, "Who knows if it's good or bad?" Then the farmer's son broke his leg while trying to tame one of the wild horses. The neighbors mourned his misfortune. Still, the farmer said, "Who knows if it's good or bad?" Later, when the army came to recruit young men for war, they left the farmer's son alone because of his injury. What seemed good turned to bad, and what seemed bad turned to good. Life's events unfold beyond our immediate understanding. When we rush to judge an experience as a blessing or a curse, we miss the deeper story still being written. Acceptance invites us to meet each moment with curiosity rather than fear, knowing that time often reveals the wisdom behind what now feels unbearable. Acceptance is often mistaken for weakness, for passivity, for giving up. But real acceptance is one of the bravest acts we can practice. It requires clarity to see things as they are, not as we wish they were. It demands humility to surrender our illusions of control. It calls for deep trust. Trust in life, trust in ourselves, trust in the unfolding path, even when it looks nothing like what we imagined. Acceptance does not mean we stop striving for good or standing against injustice. It means we act from a place of peace, not from desperation. It means we recognize that not everything can be changed, and we choose to focus our energy wisely, transforming what we can and releasing what we cannot. In acceptance, we discover a kind of power that cannot be shaken by success or failure, by gain or loss. It is a power rooted not in conquering life, but in walking hand in hand with it. But what if even our deepest pains aren't mistakes? What if every heartbreak, every loss, every struggle carries a lesson meant just for us, waiting patiently to be uncovered? Pain often feels like a cruel interruption to life, something senseless that drags us into darkness without warning. Yet, when we look more closely, we find that the greatest moments of growth, wisdom, and compassion in our lives have often been born from suffering. Pain strips away our illusions, tears down the walls we build around our hearts, and forces us to confront what truly matters. Without hardship, we might remain trapped in comfort, unaware of the deeper strength that lies dormant within us. Every wound, every loss, every disappointment carries within it the seeds of transformation, if we are willing to stay present with it long enough to see what it's trying to teach. There is a story of a man who, seeing a butterfly struggling to break free from its cocoon, decided to help by cutting the cocoon open. The butterfly emerged easily, but its wings were weak, and it could not fly. The struggle to escape the cocoon was what gave the butterfly the strength it needed to survive. Without that struggle, it could not fulfill its purpose. In the same way, our struggles are not meaningless burdens. They are necessary stages of growth. When we try to rush past pain or avoid it altogether, we deprive ourselves of the strength, resilience, and depth that only adversity can cultivate. Pain is not a punishment. It is the fire that tempers us into who we are meant to become. Not all pain feels the same, because not all lessons are meant to be the same. What shatters one person might barely touch another. What seems unbearable to someone else might awaken in you a strength you never knew you had. Pain is deeply personal because each of us carries different fears, different attachments, different dreams. Life knows precisely where to touch us, not to destroy us, but to reveal us. It is often the wounds we resist the most that have the most to teach. When we stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this trying to awaken in me?" we shift from victimhood to empowerment. In that shift, pain loses its ability to define us and instead becomes a gateway to a deeper, truer version of ourselves. To hear those lessons, to touch the meaning woven through our days, we must learn to be here, to be fully present with ourselves, with life, exactly as it is, moment by moment. The human mind is rarely still. It races forward into the future, spinning stories of fear and hope, or loops endlessly through the past, revisiting old wounds and missed opportunities. In this constant movement, we lose the only thing that is ever truly ours, the present moment. The mind, left untrained, behaves like a restless animal, chasing after illusions, fleeing from discomfort, and never finding peace. Mindfulness is the practice of gently bringing the mind home, again and again, to what is happening right here, right now. Without judgment, without striving, simply noticing. It is in this simple act of noticing that the mind begins to quiet and true clarity begins to arise. The past is a memory, the future is a dream. Only the present moment is real. Yet most of us spend our lives anywhere but here. We rehash conversations, replay regrets, anticipate problems, and chase future joys that remain stubbornly out of reach. Mindfulness invites us to step out of this endless mental tug-of-war and plant ourselves firmly in now. It teaches us that happiness is not found by reaching some distant goal, but by waking up to the beauty, the richness, the aliveness of this moment. Every breath we take is an opportunity to return. Every step, every sound, every sensation is an invitation to come home to ourselves. Daily micro-mindfulness practices. Mindfulness does not require a monastery, a mountaintop, or hours of silent meditation. It can begin in the smallest of ways, woven into the fabric of daily life, feeling the warmth of a cup of tea in your hands, listening fully to someone without rehearsing your reply, walking down the street and actually noticing the colors of the sky, taking 3 conscious breaths before entering a room. These small acts of presence accumulate slowly but powerfully, retraining the mind to remain here instead of wandering endlessly. Over time, mindfulness becomes less of a practice and more of a way of being, a way of touching life fully and being touched by it in return. And when we live this way, present, accepting, awake, pain itself transforms. It no longer buries us. It becomes the fire that forges something unbreakable within us. Pain often feels like an ending, a breaking point, a signal that something has gone terribly wrong. But within every wound, there is a hidden doorway. Suffering, when faced with presence and courage, becomes a portal, not into despair, but into awakening. It forces us to question the assumptions we've built our lives upon, strips away our false securities, and reveals a truth that cannot be shaken. The journey through pain is not meant to crush us, but to break us open to a deeper, vaster way of living. Those who have walked through fire and chosen to stay awake in it carry a light that no easy path could ever ignite. Transformation does not happen simply because we suffer. It happens because of how we meet our suffering. When we stop running from pain, when we turn toward it with openness and curiosity, we discover that pain itself changes. It softens. It reveals its teachings. Instead of wiring our minds for bitterness and fear, we can choose to wire them for resilience, compassion, and wisdom. Every time we meet a difficult moment with presence instead of resistance, every time we breathe into discomfort instead of lashing out or shutting down, we are building new pathways inside ourselves. Pathways that lead not to deeper wounds, but to deeper freedom. Living the path, not just learning about it. Understanding these truths intellectually changes little. Reading about mindfulness, karma, impermanence, and acceptance is not the same as living them. Transformation comes from walking the path daily, imperfectly, with all the messiness and beauty that real life entails. It is found in the moments when we choose to stay open, when it would be easier to shut down, to trust when it would be easier to harden, to forgive when it would be easier to blame. Enlightenment is not a distant mountain to climb. It is the way we meet this very moment, with awareness, with tenderness, with courage. In living this way, we do not escape life. We embody it more fully than ever before. Life will not always go the way we plan. Pain will visit, change will come, loss will find us. But within every experience, there is a thread of meaning, a chance for awakening, a path to peace deeper than anything we can manufacture through control. The invitation is simple but profound, to meet each moment with open eyes, to see beyond appearances, to trust that even when we do not understand, life is still weaving something sacred within us. Every breath is an opportunity to wake up. Every moment is a chance to live fully, bravely, and beautifully. What lesson is life whispering to you right now?